Today, the ultimate rush of precision rifles. We go behind secure doors to see how workers craft Nordic component rifles. People are passionate about outdoor equipment. Get this, Americans spend more than $20 billion a year on gear. But no one ever really sees how their stuff gets made.
Well, that's where we come in. Each week, we throw open the factory doors and give you a behind-the-scenes look at how your favorite gear is made.
Made for the outdoors.
The NC-15, quite the machine. This is Nordic Components' standard sporting AR-223 rifle. You know, it's funny when you think about it. For the last century, many of the most popular military rifles tend to become the most popular sporting guns too. No exception with Nordic Components, especially when you see how these rifles get made for the outdoors.
Nordic Components hides in a plain Jane building just west of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Nordic, the place where high-end AR platform rifles come to life.
What we're trying to do with our rifle is, of course, we produce the premium rifle.
AR rifles have been around more than half a century. AR stands for ARMALITE, the company that first built the magazine-fed air-cooled rifles. Production began in the mid-1950s. Now, dozens of companies manufacture AR platform rifles. Nordic Components crafts its own version of the classic rifles, the brainstorm of Jarmo Kupola, an engineer who loves to build.
Born and raised around hunting and firearms, and because I'm from farm originally, so the firearms and hunting was a big part of my life. So the kind of the passion, the firearms, it has always been there.
Nordic manufactures, from scratch, rifles in several different bores, from .22 caliber to .223 and .308.
We're known for the quality, we know for the accuracy and the love we put into these firearms, and what do we do to make it function, make it accurate, make it work.
5 main components make up an AR rifle: the stock, an upper receiver, a lower receiver, a handguard, and barrel.
I think that's the fun of these darn rifles. They're almost like a Harley Davidson. You buy one and then you start changing everything out. I mean, nobody likes the same stock. Look at all the different colors. You can get all kinds of barrel options. It's like you buy the rifle and it becomes a hobby.
Building a rifle starts with raw materials. Nordic's delivery truck arrives in the morning. Mike, the driver, drops heavy loads.
Yeah, Mike's here a couple times a week. Today, it's a single pallet, kind of a light load. He's delivering bar stock aluminum, and inside this factory, there's a bunch of it.
Racks hold aluminum in all sorts of shapes and sizes. The raw stock never sits long. Workers cut aluminum and pass along to Chad Doring, one of Nordic's machine operators. These computer numerical control machines, better known as CNC machines, transform that raw aluminum into rifle handguards. It is a very complex process. You're about to see why. Team members first load aluminum into the giant machines.
Shut the doors and hit go. So now the first and second operation is ready to go in the inside, and here our third and fourth operation are ready to go on the outside.
That's tech talk. Let me dumb it down a bit.
It takes 24 tools and 20 minutes of time to transform the handguard.
The machine changes bits as the computer calls for a different cut or shape.
So wait, you didn't believe me? Look at that. 20 minutes, that becomes that. And they just look beautiful. So next comes one of the most key components of this dang thing, the upper. Justin Berry knows a lot about all the technical stuff. It takes a long time to make a single part.
This particular upper right here takes about 113 minutes.
To do one part?
To do one part. So in essence, what we do in the part is we have 4 ops of this part. It comes out of a basic 70-75 billet piece of aluminum.
And all these different bits are just coming in and out.
All these different bits. We have 87 tools to do this upper. So from this piece down to the finished upper, ends up being that 113 minutes.
A very, very expensive CNC machine burns 113 minutes to create a single part. Heck, time is money.
I think it's awesome that you start with this, 113 minutes later,
Finish.
You end up with this.
Up next, Nordic rifles slowly take shape, but not before a milk break.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Nutri Source, Nordic Components, Banks Outdoors, River Valley Power Sports, Ice Castle Fish Houses, and Suzuki Marine.
All day long, Nordic Components CNC machines grind out gun parts.
I have no idea why I'm mesmerized by this, but I am.
You cannot help but stare as these giant machines work on.
With the upper now complete, you need the other half of the puzzle. You need a lower, and there are a couple of options for that. Look at this piece. They use forged metal. That's just metal that gets heated and compacted together. What they'll do is they'll machine this down, and right there you end up with your lower. The other option, remember this, the billeted blocks of aluminum? Machine that down and you end up with the lower. The idea is you're making progress. You've got an upper and a lower that now come together. Starts to look like a rifle, right? Especially when you start adding the handguard.
Now the work jumps from high-tech machines to another, more modest mechanism.
Absolutely love this machine. It's got a brooch. It was built during World War II. It's the biggest machine in the place with seemingly the smallest job. But what's it do, Chad?
This machine is broaching out our mag wells of our lower receivers.
The routers make round cuts. This thing makes a square cut.
Yeah, so this enables us to slide our magazine in.
Makes the cut so it fits.
Yep, that's what its job is.
A little wider, a little wider, a little wider. Whole way down, you can see it just taking little cuts out. I love it. It's old technology. It still works just fine.
Looks like milk. Doesn't taste like milk.
With the rifle's main components complete, production moves to smaller parts.
Next step, this is going to become this, the charging handle. What's incredible, it hides in here somewhere, but it takes all this to find it.
More machining. Then, this box.
Yes, the old Enegrex 100. This is the Model 4. I think I used to prefer the 3. Oh, anyways, what this thing is doing right now, it's taking this little piece of steel, what they call 4140 steel, and turning it into this. It's a flash hider, and it does one thing. Do you have any guesses? It hides the flash coming out of the end of the barrel.
All these processes, all these parts developed right here in-house.
Hey, I'm Bjorn Alberg, and I'm the product development engineer.
What he's saying is he's the guy who actually designs everything.
That is correct. So basically, I take kind of the rough group idea, and then I'm in charge of kind of refining that and turning that into something that is the final product.
So your brain is just out there.
I'm doing numbers all day, every day.
Bjorn uses CAD programs to design every piece.
So right now we're looking at an exploded view of our 308 upper receiver assembly. Oh yeah, there's a lot of creativity that goes into this.
With most of the rifle's 70-plus parts now complete, it's time to leave a mark.
This machine is engraving our AR-15 forged lower.
So they all get a little name, model.
They all get a little name, model, serial number.
Yet another Nordic process that makes me just stop and want to stare.
It is kind of fun to watch.
Yep. No, it just does the same thing over and over and over again. So this one did just this side. So we got that logo and the fire and safe stuff. This is the other side with the company ID, logo, caliber, model, serial number.
Time to get fired up. Up next, the colorful art of coloring guns. With Nordic Components AR rifle parts now complete, a single set of very discerning eyes takes over.
This is a CMM. It's a coordinate measuring machine.
Meet Mike Forcier, Nordic's tough guy.
I'm the last line. I am. They don't always like me. It's either perfect or it's not good enough.
Mike's machines measure every aspect of every rifle part. He is quality control.
Right now it's measuring the radius of that part right there. Now it's going to measure the width of this lug.
Mike makes sure every part is exactly right. Think of it this way. You do not want Mike calling you into the office.
Usually not. Usually it's good news, but sometimes, you know, we have to make adjustments to what we do. So, but that's part of the in-process checks that we do here at Nordic.
The probe is one check. This fancy camera is another.
This is measuring using a camera. That's measuring using a probe, touching the actual product. And this is all camera-based.
That is wild.
People's lives are sometimes at stake using these. That's what we pride ourselves in, is our quality here. Has to be right.
Only now do parts go into boxes and get shipped across town.
So you end up here with Jared Enyart, who's kind of the big cheese when it comes to all this, and I don't even know where to start. What is this?
Well, the anodized process itself is pretty complicated, but it can be broken down into a few simple tasks that we do.
Aero Cryogenics preps and colors Nordic Components rifle parts. First step. Workers run all the parts through a tumbler. Specially designed ceramic rocks vibrate and take sharp edges off gun parts. The aluminum pieces swim for a couple of minutes. From there, the actual anodizing process starts.
So after we fixture the parts, load them onto the racks, get them on a work bar, we hoist them up, and we run them through our pre-cleaning process.
A soap bath cleans off dust and oil.
And then from there, we dump them into our caustic etch tank
where chemicals chew up the part's outer surface.
and get down to raw, clean, fresh aluminum, which is absolutely necessary
for the next most important step, which would be the anodize process itself.
Anodizing covers the part in an aluminum oxide coating. The chemical compound Al2O3.
And a hard coat is the strongest that you can get, which is what we do to all these gun parts. It's thicker and it's more densely packed than a normal anodize.
Now workers can create all sorts of different colors. These Nordic rifle parts sport a classic matte finish.
So the short version of that is you take a silver part and you turn it black.
Long story short, yeah, that's how we do it. And then just dry them off, then package them and send them back on their way.
Still ahead,
Like they say, Lego is for gun guys.
the building blocks of Nordic rifles. And we get outdoors to play.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Central Boiler, Mountain Dew, Running Aces Casino and Racetrack, B&W Trailer Hitches, Bonfi, Alumacraft, and by Game Fair.
Building a precision rifle. Oh, it's a long process. The hauling, the cutting, the grinding, the work. And to end up with a table full of parts, geez, now what? Oh yeah, I forgot about Shannon Burr.
Like they say, Lego is for gun guys.
Shannon assembles the rifle up. Zach Bauman works beside him on the lower receiver. He doesn't even use directions.
Lots and lots of time spent doing it.
These two wrestle all 70-plus parts exactly into place to create one finished rifle. In minutes, the parts become a whole.
And done. So now the upper and the lower are complete, and they go together. And now the fun part. It's time to shoot.
Next phase before it goes out the door is we have to test fire each rifle. We put 10 rounds through each rifle. Just make sure it functions. So here's the snail, like I mentioned earlier. How these work is it's a coil of metal inside and there's water. I'll turn the water on and the bullet basically hits that angle and it just spins around till it runs out of energy. All right, we're clear. After this, we do a final cleanup. Let's box it up and goes to its new home.
What?
After this, we box it up and we clean it. It's boxed up and then it goes to its new home.
What?
Goes to its new home.
Each rifle gets a quick wipe down and last QC check. Then it goes into a box, ready to go out the door and right to the range.
So what is this? Where are we at the 1 mile mark here?
Nordic rifles up the fun factor about tenfold when you plink targets.
I'm gonna try to hit that little tiny white target way out there.
That one at about a mile.
Here we go.
Oh, and the fun factor jumps to like 15 or 20 when we grab the big gun.
I'm gonna show you a magic trick with this 308. Ta-da!
I make the targets disappear.
Surgical. So much fun.
These rifles and this sport leave me with a classic case of Nordic pomegranate. Try shooting them. You'll understand. Right, Shannon?
Still fun.
what we want to do is we want to kind of please the wide variety of the audience out there, that either the sports shooter or the hunter or the tree gun shooters.
So there you go, the story behind Nordic Components, precision rifles that are a lot of fun out at the range. And quite the story when you see how they get made for the outdoors. We'll see you next week.